Fentanyl continues to kill people every day. The number of deaths on the Gulf Coast is rising. This is a highly addictive drug, lethal in tiny doses, and now a local lawmaker is pushing a bill to target the dealers. Investigative reporter Brendan Kirby in the studio. And Brendan, you say this bill started with a phone call.
Yeah, that's right, Lenise. A South Alabama prosecutor called State Representative Matt Simpson to complain that state law was making it hard for her to get prison time for people convicted in fentanyl cases.
Doesn't have a trafficking.
State Representative Matt Simpson, himself a former prosecutor, says he was taken aback when Baldwin County Assistant District Attorney Katie Sipper told him there were no mandatory prison sentences for fentanyl dealers.
Because I was like, there's no way that's right. There's trafficking in marijuana, there's trafficking in heroin, there's trafficking in cocaine.
Turns out Sipper was right, though. So Representative Simpson is proposing a set of mandatory prison time for people convicted of fentanyl dealing. The current law also surprised Lee Wade, whose daughter died from a fentanyl overdose in 2018.
That's just unreal to me. I guess unless you live and you learn, you find out about fentanyl and you find out the big issue that it does have and the lives that it has taken. And with this bill, that would be wonderful. That would make them not just a slap on the wrist.
Representative Simpson's bill would set mandatory penalties. Selling 1 to 2 grams would bring a minimum prison term of 3 years. 2 to 4 grams would bring a minimum term of 10 years. 4 to 8 grams would bring a minimum of 25 years. And 8 or more grams would bring a sentence of life in prison. Prosecutors and sheriffs on both sides of Mobile Bay joined Representative Simpson on Monday for a show of support. The Daphne lawmaker demonstrated the lethality of the drug with a 1-gram packet of Sweet and Low. An equivalent amount of fentanyl can kill 500 people, he says. Mobile County Sheriff Sam Cochran says he's never seen anything like it.
They're using it to lace these other drugs. It's cheap, it's inexpensive, it's highly profitable, and it's really, truly narco-terrorism in my opinion.
Baldwin County Sheriff Hoss Mack says overdose deaths in his jurisdiction have doubled 3 years in a row, mostly from fentanyl. And it's not just a danger to users. Sheriff Mack pointed to an incident last year in which Deputy Lee Banks inhaled a tiny amount of fentanyl during a traffic stop.
He immediately stood up. It was about 3 seconds of exposure. He said, "Something doesn't feel." Bam, he hit the ground. And had the Narcan not been there, we'd have had an officer in the line of duty death that day.
Representative Simpson's bill also would require mandatory prison time for repeat offenders, an additional 5 years for anyone with a previous fentanyl conviction, and an additional 10 more for people with 2 or more convictions. Reporting live from the News Center, Brendan Kirby, Fox 10 News.